into our second series, into another ZvP. I did mention earlier that we casted a lot of Protoss last night in day 1 of the qualifiers, but here day 2, a lot more Zergs. Day 2 is when the Zergs rock up, and here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing himself, the blue Protoss. It is sOs. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, ooh, going for a 15 hatch. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is soO. Here we go. So this has been very trendy as of late. Amongst the Korean players, you either 15 hatch or 14 hatch against Protoss. This is going to be a 15-15, 15 hatch into a 15 pool from soO. The reasoning for this is that this does disrupt your economy, does impact your overall drone count, but it does give you a bit of a safer start here. It allows you to expand where you need to. You are forced to take the unnatural natural, and it gives you a little bit of a better setup early on to defend against things like Glaive Adepts, against things like Oracle committed play. The big downside to this is that you do delay your gases, which means you will have delayed link speed. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to chase down and clean up those adepts early on, but you'll get there eventually, as the gas is now being taken from soO. We are getting into our game. And yeah, my eyes are still going to be on sOs. So sure, he's going for a very safe opener. That's kind of what we're reading from this. sOs has shown us 2 different things so far, but he's been heavily reliant on Glaive Adepts, right? Game 1 and Game 2, different ways of getting there, but Glaive Adepts nonetheless. Is he going to do the same here against soO? Or does sOs have more up his sleeve? We shall see. No delay here on Warp Gate. It is being rushed out. We do have the pylon a little bit further back, closer to the mineral line here, so this does look like a Twilight Council, and there we go. Twilight Council is thrown down in the main. Typically, if it's a Stargate opener, the pylon is thrown down a little bit more further out, just to reduce the time it takes for the Oracle to get across the map, just to be a little bit more efficient. So we'll keep our eyes on sOs to see whether this is going to be Glaive Adepts or even a Dark Shrine opener. As we're pulling out of gas, it's Glaive Adepts. Okay. Now again, sOs, he struggled to pull this off against Solar, but we'll see how soO responds. I'm sure he did notice as well that Warp Gate wasn't delayed. He still has this Overlord outside of the bases. Glaives is in production. And sOs is just trying to get a read on what's going on. Third base is on the way. soO is just droning quite happily. It's too early to throw down a Roach Warren. He's working on link speed. He's not skipping it. And we haven't pulled back into gases, so this is going to be 4 Gate Glaive Adept, the very standard variation. Very common variation of this. Again, this doesn't have to kill, but it does have to, get damage done. Does have to hinder the economy here of the Zerg player in some way. As we are pulling back into gas, actually. Interesting. So this could be similar to what we saw against Solar, where he's committing to Adepts initially, but he could be setting himself up for a faster Robotics Bay into faster Disruptors. We'll see. As the Prism is going to be moving out across the map. Back at home, Safety Roach Warren's on the way. Started at around the 4-minute mark. Lings are in production. Spore is thrown down in the main. Spore at the third base as well. The Adepts are arriving, and soO, can he keep up? So far, the Prism is going to be denied. Queens do waddle on back, and we do not commit to the Shade. Lings were waiting for it. Of course, sOs does reveal his hand. He's taking another gas geyser back at home. This is looking like he wants to throw down a robotic spay. Ooh, sOs, he will get one queen. Does keep it to the shade. Goes all the way into the main base. So far, he hasn't gotten a drone kill yet. Up. Does get one. Does get a second as well. Yeah, we're going for another warp in. Drones are going down. soO having a harder time engaging here. Lings, they do manage to get on top of some of these devs, so more drones are going down. Not a game-ending amount, though. The Prism! The Prism does go down to the Queens! Ay, ay, ay. We cannot reinforce. We cannot warp in. And that is it. That is the end of the aggression for sOs. Looking at the units lost tab, he got 3 drones. Not good enough. 3 drones. He lost the War Prism. He lost the majority of his adepts. And soO, he is stabilizing, going straight into a lair, taking his gases. The Lings, they keep sOs at home. They even get a surround. Oh my god. He gets 2 more adepts for his troubles. Delays the third base. Confirms that there is no third. And soO, he can even take a fight here. He surrounds even more adepts, takes them out. We can see that sOs is trying to get into more of these disruptors. But he had to rebuild that War Prism. And soO, he's droning. He's happily droning from here. With this lair, he can get into Roach speed. He's on 3 gases. Evo chamber for +1. And soO's looking pretty comfortable. He's not really in much danger at all. The biggest danger, of course, is the disruptor. There's 1 disruptor in that prism. sOs, he's looking for a juicy Nova, whether it's with roaches, lings, drones. He's looking for something. So far, he's denied entry into the main base. Adepts are on the prowl. sOs finally taking his third, but that is a late third base. Oh, the roaches! He wants them. He wants them, papi. As the disruptor does meet up with the adepts, he's going to be threatening that third base. Here we go. Nova's coming out. Up. And it gets 1 queen. Not good enough. Roach speed is about to kick in, and once Roach speed does finish up, then soO, he can push out across the map. Oh boy. Colossus is on the way. Thank you so much for the gifted subs in the chat. I'll give you a proper shout out after the game. As here comes that disruptor. Nova goes off, and oh my god! The drones are pulled into the Nova. 9 workers. That was 6 drones going down. Good connection for sOs. A good start to the comeback. But still just a start. Thank you, Puffy. Thank you. As now we have Roach speed, so sOs is moving out across the map. He's got Roaches, he's got Ravagers, he has Lings. He's looking to collapse on this third base. We only have 1 disruptor. Bear that in mind. We need to make it count. Oh. Do need to make it count. As soO is taking up even further. He's running up to 70. Infestation bits on the way. It looks like soO, he's working towards Vipers or a Hive Tech. Never goes off. Gets 2 roaches. It's okay. It's okay. Now, the problem here is that I'm a little bit worried for soO. sOs is all in. sOs is not making probes. He has cut workers here. He's only got 8 workers at his third base. He's amassing a massive army. He's got Colossi. He's got Sentries. He doesn't have Blink or Charge, but he's very all in with this army. He's about to meet up here with his Disruptor. He's heading over here, rotating towards this mining base of soO. Has soO been too greedy? He droned up to 82. That's a lot of workers. That's a lot of drones. But he needs an army. There we go. Nova's going to be going off, and it will connect, taking down a big chunk of these roaches. But that was only 1 disruptor. Files will be connecting. We'll be taking down some of these shield batteries. Sorry, shield batteries? Force fields. Colossus pushing on forward. Good force fields overall. But the Banelings, they are connecting. They're getting on top of the sentries. Another Nova goes off. sOS is gaining ground, but he lost the majority of his adepts. He's losing the majority of his buffer. Even if he gets his hatchery, it's not enough. He has to keep on going. Has to keep on pushing. soO, he needs to take this slow. There we go. A couple of Stalkers are going to be going down. Nova zones away the army. The hatchery does fall. But soO, he's got a third. He's got a backup fourth base on the way. He's got plenty behind this. The pressure is on sOS to keep on pushing. And he's backing off. Not too sure how I feel about that, Fafi. He's backing off instead. He is making probes, taking gases. sOS is going to try to macro from here. But soO is about to get out of control. Up! Nova just zoning away the army. As sOS doesn't quite manage to connect. He's just going to be buying some time, keeping soO busy. Across the map, we do have sOS just consolidating his forces. He's got Blink on the way. Biles won't quite connect. A little bit ambitious there from soO. Never going to be zoning the army back. We have additional Colossi. sOS still does not have Blink, by the way. And with that, he is pushing on forward. Solid army, good concave as well. Is this going to be enough for sOS? As he's trading well. Oh, and a lot of drones are going down. Oh my god. Massive swipes on the mineral line. soO taking a lot of hits. He's on the back foot. And it looks like sOS is going to be able to take down another one of these bases. Big connection on those Banelings. soO is struggling here. Earlier, it was okay for him to lose a hatchery, but he loses another. Viper has finally arrived. But now we have Blink, now we have +1. Up! As the Disruptor does expose itself, and here we go. Viper comes in, gets a yoink, gets one of those Colossi finally. Is that going to be enough? A second Colossus is going to go down. Big pickups for soO. Banelings, they find some decent connections. A lot of Stalkers are going down, and it looks like soO is barely holding up. The one Colossus stands strong. It's been a title win here from soO. From sOS. I keep confusing the names. They're both 3 letters. But Leagues are coming in to reinforce, and with these reinforcements, soO should be able to get on top of the Colossus. Should be able to clean this up. And soO barely holds on. He has a backup fourth base that's up and running. He did lose a lot of drones earlier. Did lose 26 workers. He's lost 200 Lings over the course of this game. Oh my god. 230 Lings. But sOS is running out of steam. He's down to 1 Colossus, a handful of Stalkers. Doesn't have a fourth base. Doesn't have any longevity here in this game. He's been all in for a long time at this point. And it looks like soO has finally held. Files connect. They take down the prison. There's no way to escape. GG gets called. Whew. And soO takes game number 1. Oh, GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. And oh my god, that was a lot of subs. Wow, thank you so much. I don't think I ever donated to this channel. We appreciate it, Papi. We appreciate it. Monteun01 in the chat. I didn't divert too much attention because we were in the middle of a game, but thank you so much for the 20 gifted subs. Thank you. Thank you. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate it. Gifting subs to so many people. Oh my god. Vindicta, Miguelito, Woodkid, ARJ Skater, 2 megabytes, to name a few. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lee Jim, Atapia, Means Horns. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for all the support. We appreciate it. Thank you. All the money that we make here on the channel goes towards our tournaments. We do host events on a bi-weekly basis. And our next tournament is this weekend with the Tenacious Turtle Tussle. So thank you. Thank you so much. Again, we do the best that we can. So I hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the channel. Gracias. Gracias. And GG, soO will hold the all-in. Again, sOs has been... sOs, he has been very aggressive tonight here against both Solar and soO. Very aggressive styles, very all-in play from sOs. We'll see if he switches things up. We'll see if he does mix things up and divert his play. I'm just gonna wait for the notifications to finish. we don't often get a lot of gifted subs here, so I'm okay with letting this play out. It's all good. Express Karma, Yam the Goblin. For those wondering, we do also give replay packs for the subscribers. If you're interested in that sort of thing, we have a lot of replays that we do send out to our subscribers. If you are interested in, you know, learning from players like Dark and Bjorn and even some regional players like Mio Micah, Cham, Vindicta, for example, we do send out replay packs from the events that we do cover. As long as you have permission. As long as you have permission to share the replays, we do so. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do appreciate it. And with that, we are going to be getting into game number 2. German Warbird. Nearing the end, nearing the end. Yeah, we are getting into that next game. That was very close to breaking him. It was. It actually was. I should point that out as well, is that soO was kind of struggling a little bit to hold on. Like, it was not a clean hold from soO. Not as clean as Solar, for example. So, oh, that is something to bear in mind as we're getting into our next game. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gressvan, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing himself down in this series, but not out. It is sOs. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent once again going for the 15 hatch. It is the blue Zerg player representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is soO. Here we go. So, yeah, soO going for a 15-15 once again, just like the previous game, and I wonder how sOs is going to be approaching this game number 2. Now, what we did see, of course, previously was sOs go for a Stargate opener into a Void Ray into Glaive Adepts. He did that game 2 against Solar, so we could see something similar. We could definitely see something similar here on Gressvan. I would like to believe, though, that sOs has other things up his sleeve and he has other kind of ways to approach this matchup. Other builds that he can be going for. We shall keep our eyes on sOs. Outside of that, he's just being annoying. Forcing some inefficient mining here in the main by focusing on these mineral patches. While soO does drone on up back at home. Again, 15-15 into a later gas geyser. Meanwhile, sOs just going for a gate into Cybercore into expansion. It's a very standard setup here from our Protoss. Pylon location is a little bit further back once again, but it looks like we are going to be delaying our Warp Gate, which means Stargate opener. There we go. Tis going to be a Stargate opener instead, and sOo should realize that. He should have noticed that, of course, Warp Gate was or is later than it should be. So sOo could piece together. Now, just because it's a Stargate opener doesn't mean it's standard play. We spoke about this earlier, but in Game 2 against Solar, sOs also went for a Stargate opener, and it was into a Void Ray, into a hidden Twilight Council for more Glaive Adepts. So that is a possibility that sOo has to be wary of. Speaking of, yeah, there's a Void. There's a Void Ray. And we'll see if he throws down a fast Twilight Council. Now, this should still lead into a third base. This is not a 2-base all-in setup from sOs. But so far, this is looking very similar to sOs's series against Solar. As additional gases are being taken. Adepts are chilling back at home. Waiting for that moment to, of course, expand and defend. And sOo is just building up his forces here, working on speed. Working on his 3-base saturation. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy from our Zerg player. We're not rushing into gas. We did pull out as soon as we got 100 for Ling speed. So we're not going for like a Bane bust or anything like that. And there we go. The first Void Ray is zooming across the map. So interesting. I was gonna say a different approach. sOs intentionally didn't go for this Overlord to try to get more damage done. He does catch one Overlord across the map as the Void Ray does now reveal itself. The Void Ray is going to be looking for a second Overlord, and then he can always turn around and kill this Overlord because it's kind of stuck here. This Overlord isn't going anywhere, so we can always kill this later on. This Void Ray is looking for more damage, and as the Void Ray is gaining map control, we do have a Fleet Beacon and a second Stargate on the way. We're rushing into carriers. Let's go. We're going to be carrier rushing. Now, I wonder what kind of variation this is from sOs. So what do I mean by that? For a long time, the way that this would work is that you build up your carrier count and you just don't stop going into Skytoss. But in recent months, Hero and Classic, they have been doing this. Hero and Classic, they have been doing these carrier rushes, but they stop at 4. They build up to 4 carriers, and we saw this during KSL over the weekend. We casted KSL a couple of days ago. We've been seeing this in WTL. We saw Australia do this very same build as well. You go up to 4 carriers, and then you go for a ground switch. You go for a Twilight Council +1, Blink Stalkers into Immortals, into Archons. And you only have 4 carriers to support. So I'm curious if we're going for the more modern variation of this, where it's only 4 carriers, or if we're just going to double down and commit and just go pure Skytoss. These gateways tell a different story, and there we go. Twilight Council's on the way, so we shouldn't be overcommitting. Here we go. 2 carriers are going to be moving out across the map. Lings do rock up here, and they will get us around on... no, they don't quite get us around. Adepts do wedge themselves in the mineral line, and they will deal with these Lings. Again, very nice SimCity. Carriers do reveal themselves across the map. They get another Overlord. They're laying siege upon this base. We are heavily oversaturated. How many queens do we have? 7! Uh-oh. There's not a lot of queens. It looks like 1 queen is going to go down. A high energy queen at that. Oof, second queen barely going to be saved. And it looks like sOo should be able to hold on. But I may have spoken too soon. Second queen falls. And we do have a transition, but not the one that I was expecting. Okay, so he is building up to 4 carriers. Yes, this is kind of the modern variation that Hero and Classic have been going for, only 4 carriers. Stopping carrier production going into ground toss, but this is not Blink. This is Glaives. He's going for a 1-2 punch. He wants to end the game. Meanwhile, before that can even happen, the queens are going down. These carriers, they may just end the game themselves. Yeah. We're down to 6 queens. Spore falls. This base is under threat, and this is just snowballed out of control. This is game-ending damage. This is already too much. We don't even have to think about the adepts because these carriers are going to just end it all by themselves. As they take down the last remaining queens. Not enough energy for transfuse. The spore goes down. And this is going to be game. The Spire is on the way. GG gets called. We won't see the adepts as sOs takes game number 2. GG. I feels bad, man. We didn't even get to see sOS's final form. That wasn't even meant to kill soO. That was meant to distract soO. That was meant to, like, you know, get a little bit of momentum, gain some ground, give him some breathing room for the kill move, which was supposed to be the adepts on the horizon. They didn't even get to do anything. They were getting ready, but alas, GG, well played. We have an ace match. We do have an ace match. So we're getting into game 3. Oh. This is what you get for not scouting. In a way, yes. I say in a way because the Void Ray obviously was denying scouting. This was on soO for cutting queens. If you remember, when the first 2 carriers appeared, there were only 7 queens. And even in a standard game, we want to have around 8 queens, and of course, once the carriers reveal themselves, we need to hyper-fixate on queen production. So initially it was just a little bit lax from soO, and things very quickly snowballed out of control. So yeah, that was just on soO, just being a little bit light on his overall defenses in the end, and now we're getting into the ace match, into that 3rd game. Spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. It is sOs. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing the Kwangdong Freaks, going for a 15 hatch opener. It is soO. (2S) against 2O matchup, true. Let's go. As we're getting into this again, 15 hatchery into a 15 spawning pool. soO has been going for the same opener every single game so far. Again, very safe, very meta from our Zerg player. Meanwhile, we'll see how soO does approach this as well. As, sOs going for a greedier opener. He's going for a gate expand. Okay, so sOs going to be cutting some corners here. Getting his expansion before Cybercore. Being slightly more greedier than he has been. Oh. And from here, we are going to be getting into our game. Now, I'm really curious to see what soO brings to the table here. We have seen quite a bit of variety from him. We saw a Twilight Council opener, of course, into Glaive Adepts. We've seen that quite a lot from him so far, but we already saw that once in this series. I don't expect to see that again. We've seen Void Ray into Sky Toss. We've seen Void Ray into Glaive Adepts as well. Do we have something else to bring to the table? I hope so. Do hope so. As for now, it is going to be another Twilight Council opener here from sOs. We'll keep our eye on the gas count, of course. We'll see if he does get into Glaives, or if he goes for something a little bit different. As soO does recognize that Warp Gate wasn't delayed, that it is on the way. So we can piece together that it is going to be a Twilight Council opener. We are pulling out of gas. It is going to be Glaive Adepts from sOs once again. Now, winding the clock back a little bit, as a reminder to how Game 1 turned out. Remember, sOs, he did go for Glaive Adepts. He didn't overcommit. I say that, he did lose his Prism, actually. He went for Glaive Adepts. He didn't have the best execution of it, and soO was able to hold. But despite that, sOs made Game 1 really close. Remember, he went up to 3 bases. He went for a 3-base all-in with Colossus, with his Disruptor. and it was a very close hold for soO. So despite soO having a strong start in game 1, things still got very close, and because of that, sOs may be thinking to himself, hey, look, I know that I can just refine the execution of my build, do a repeat of game 1, and this time come out on top, this time come out victorious. We'll see if he can pull it off. As the gateways are finishing up, it is going to be 4 gate Glaive Adepts from sOs, just like he has been doing throughout this series, throughout this day of play. Prism is on the way. sOs is going to be moving out. We can see him trying to avoid the links. His Adepts trying to ferry the way for his Prism, trying to go unscattered. We can see soO going for around a 4-minute Roach Warren. So it is on the way, and it should finish up in time. We have a safety spine crawler on the way as well at that third base. Adepts have been revealed, and soO is getting ready. He did drone up a little bit further. He droned up to 43, so a little bit greedy here from soO. As the Adepts will not commit to the shade. They don't get a kill on the Queen either. soO has held long enough to complete his Roach Warren, and now Roaches are in production. We have a spine crawler here at the natural as well. soO taking this very seriously. Again, he doesn't want to overextend with his lings. Doesn't want to bleed out too much. Spines are repositioning, Queens as well. Behind this, we did pull back into gas, and we have a Robotics Bay on the way for Disruptors. So sOs is transitioning into his Disruptors once again. As the Adepts do get 1 drone kill, up 2. Before shading away. And again, because sOs is already working towards his Disruptors, like, he doesn't have to commit with these Adepts. If he's able to preserve them, he can build up towards an even stronger attack later on. And here we go. The Prism is going to be threatening the main base. So far, no real damage is being done. The Prism taking a couple of hits. Does trade against the Lings at least. Oh, but the Prism is going to take a little bit of hull damage. Not quite. As it does get away. Back at home, sOs has just been warping in wave after wave of Adepts. He's got his first Disruptor on the way. The Lings are trying to get a read on what's going on. And soO back at home is at least working on his lair. With this lair, he gains access to Roach Speed. And he is droning. I would say overall a better defense this time from from soO. He was able to get away with more drones. He barely lost any. He was very mature with his Lings, and he hasn't bled out too many units either. I mean, neither player really has. You can see here in the units lost tab, only 1 Adept has gone down. For 16 Lings, like, technically an efficient trade for sOs. But soO is just building up his Roaches. And here we go, sOs pushing in with all of his Adepts with 2 Disruptors this time. It's going to be 26 Adepts, 2 Disruptors, and 1 Stalker. The Stalker staying back at home, of course. Here we go, we're pushing into a Concave. The Spines have repositioned. Nova does not connect. Up. Good splits overall. 2 Roaches will go down. We will commit to the Shade. And the Adepts bust into the main. They take down some Roaches. They take down some Queens. Drones are falling. $12 drones in total. Not too bad. The Disruptors, they haven't been able to get any big connections yet. But sOs, he is sharking around. Oh, that was a rough shade. And we recall back home. Novas, they try to go off. They do get a couple of workers here, but they do get forced back. And a lot of Adepts go down. A rough shade there from sOs. I think that was a misclick. I think he intended to shade to the natural, but he shaded here into the corner of the main. And now sOs is in a rough position. He's got a decent economy, but again, no blink, no charge, no forge. Did lose 17 Adepts there. Back at home, he's building up towards his Colossus again. Building up towards a 3-base all-in. Ooh, oh my god. Massive connections for one disruptor. Trading a disruptor for a big shot on those roaches may be worth it. The problem is that we're only working with one robot production, so losing a disruptor is quite brutal here, and it will be a big blow to the main army of SOS. That's just trying to build up his Colossus count. Still has that one disruptor. Oh, decent connection. Getting some drones. Good trades, keeping soO busy. Meanwhile, soO is just focusing on remaxing, saturating his third, getting his fourth. And here comes SOS with the next push. Now with Colossi. Now, it looks like this time he's not as committed as he was previously. Like, he's actually fully saturating his third base first. He's taking gases, and we have a forge on the way. 2 more drones go down. So if you remember, in game 1, SOS went for just a big 3-base all-in without taking his gases. But here he's actually probing. Blink is on the way. Forge for +1. I'm concerned because it's going to take a while for all those upgrades to kick in. Meanwhile, one Colossus gets caught out. Up. And it will not fall. Ay, ay, ay. Big loss there for soO, losing so many Lings and not getting the Colossus. Will survive. Here we go. SOS pushing up this ramp. You have a couple of Ravagers. They will be connecting on the sentries. Oh my god. Colossus goes down. And unlike previously, there aren't any more sentries for force fields. No force fields. Won't be able to slice up this army. Won't be able to slow it down. Same time, Baneling run by takes down the mineral line. Only 3 probes survive. And soO is just that much more all in. His economy is, sorry, SOS is that much more all in. His economy is crippled. He has to make this work. Time is on soO's side. soO, he's maxed out at this point. He's on 3-base saturation. 67 workers. Nova will whiff, will not connect. And soO's just going to be able to shut this down. Forcing this back. We have another warping of Stalkers, but Blink is finally going to finish up. But alas, too little too late. In the midst of all of this, soO setting out another wave of Banelings. There's barely an economy to begin with, and soO is just making sure that it stays that way. As the probes are going down, and SOS is running out of steam. He at least has Blink with his army, so he has a little bit more micro potential. But as he blinks back, he's also exposing his own Colossi. So he does have to be careful. Takes a bar to the face. Never connecting with one roach. Meanwhile, Baneling's they're still just camping the mineral line. Waiting for probes. Smooch. They just want to explode, Papi. That's all they live for. As again, even though SOS is trading relatively efficiently here, he just doesn't have the economy to sustain these losses, to keep this going, to keep the pressure on. As soO has rebuilt more Banelings, he's getting on top of the Colossi, and finally they will go down. Only one Colossus remaining. Of course, soO has to be careful not to overextend. He has to be careful not to push too far off of creep. Slow and steady. As the Banelings turn back around. There was nothing left to kill. Coming in from behind. And it looks like soO can finally collapse on this army. Doesn't quite get the Colossus, but takes down a lot of Stalkers. soO now double the supply here of his opponent. Disruptor goes down. The Prison just a little bit too far back to juggle and to keep these high-tech units alive. Lings counterattack. GG gets called, and soO will take down sOs 2-1, qualifying for GSL Code S. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to soO becoming the third Zerg player alongside Dark, alongside Solar, to make it into Code S. My condolences to sOs, of course. He will have another chance. He will have another chance, don't get me wrong. But is going to get knocked out of round number 1. And yeah, sOs just, unfortunately, a little bit samey when it comes to his playstyle. So far, we casted a lot of his ZvPs against Solar, against soO now. And yeah, just very aggressive here in nature. Hasn't really gone for any kind of standard macro play. And as long as the Zerg players like playing safe overall, then they should be okay. Obviously, we saw soO caught with his pants down a little bit on Gressfarn against those carriers. So obviously, sOs, he can catch these Zerg players, but again, it's kind of on sOs just keeping his build hidden, keeping himself unscouted to pull that off. And we'll see if he can pull that off again, because we have some more matches ahead of us.